What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the shop. Now, I've recently picked up a Lie Nielsen low-angled jack plane, a number 62. It's the first really fine hand tool I've ever owned, and I have to say they are pretty spectacular. I might do a review of it later on, but this is not really about this. Well, it sort of is about this. It's inspired me to kind of make a nice shooting board and maybe a bench hook as well. I have some scrap pieces of different types of wood here. I have a plank of maple. I have this nice sapele board that I just recently finished on the planer thicknesser. I also have this piece of maple here. So low angle jack planes are ideal for use in shooting boards because of the low angle of the plane blade and the bevel up design. It means going across end grain, they're ideal for it. So I think I'm going to put together a kind of a fancy hardwood shooting board because I think this plane deserves a nice shooting board. It's a pretty tasty tool. So without further ado, let's take a look at this and see what the hell we're going to do. Right guys, a little bit of a close-up there. Here is essentially the plan. I'm going to use this piece of sapele for the main part of my shooting board. I'm going to use this piece of maple for essentially my track. Now for anybody who doesn't know what a shooting board is, it's just something to use your plane on. So you have a track which is slightly stepped down from the board itself. What you do then is you make a fence. So just imagine this is our fence for now. We put a fence, we're going to recess this into the sapele, so our fence is actually at 90 degrees to our edge here. And then if we want to plane a piece of end grain or we want to square up a board, we just use that to shoot the plane up and down and square off this end. That's it, very, very simple. They're actually a great tool to have for your bench. So you just put a hook underneath it then so it hooks onto your bench. And it's very simple. I also want to put a 45-degree fence into it. So I'm going to put a 45-degree fence back about here. That's removable, so it'll just be a channel. We'll see how this works out. Over time, it might loosen in the channel. I might have to remake the fence, but yeah, no big deal. Sapele is kind of like an African mahogany, so it's softish enough. So we see it might wear the channel, it might wear the fence out, but hey, look, we'll check it out and we'll test it. It's all worth experimenting on anyway, isn't it? So that's the shooting board. It's going to be this piece of sapele, a maple track, because the maple is so smooth, and it's such a closed grain timber and nice and hard. It's perfect. You can see just how easy this plane slides up and down it. These Lie Nielsen planes, it's the first time I've got my hands on one. It's the first time I just took it out of the box. I've done a little teaser video. I stuck it up on Instagram there. I stuck it up on YouTube there a little while ago as well. I'm blown away by it. I've never seen or used such fine hand tools in my life. This is the first time I've ever held one, and everything is just precisely engineered. So that's the whole point of making this. It's kind of inspired me to make a nice little shooting board for it. And we'll also make a bench hook. So our bench hook, again, is very simple. I'm going to make that out of maple, but just imagine this is our maple plank. So again, we will have a 90-degree fence and a hook that just goes underneath our bench and hooks on. So your bench hook then is just, you put your material up against it again, and you just use that for your saw. It holds your material nice and steady again, and you can kind of get 90 degrees and get a nice straight saw cut. So they're just a handy little item to have underneath your bench that you can throw up on top of your bench anytime you want to get a nice fine cut with a handsaw. So yeah, a maple and walnut, this piece of walnut I have, I think we'll make a maple and walnut bench hook, and then we will do a maple and sapele shooting board. Yeah, so let's start dimensioning up some of this stuff now, and we'll get it through the planer thicknesser. Right, I have the sapele thickness down now, so I'm about 10 mil between my track and the top of my board. So now I just need to decide on a length. And so I want to keep my fence back from the end of my board a bit. I think I'll come in about 50 mil, just so there's a bit of meat between my fence and the end of my shooting board, because I will be recessing it into the board, so it has some material for support. Obviously, everything goes against the fence, and the fence will come under a small bit of pressure just as we're planing off the ends of those things. It just holds our workpiece in place. So a little bit of meat behind that. So that's in 50 mil. Obviously then I need to incorporate the length of my plane into it. So we will be shooting past the end of our fence a small bit. So yeah, 50 should be good there, I think. Yeah, that looks good. Then I need to place my 45-degree fence back a small bit. So that will be somewhere back here. And again, I need enough for my plane to run up and down. So we're looking at somewhere back here. And obviously then I need an overhang over the edge of my bench to incorporate my hook. So again, I want a bit of meat behind that. So we might just call that the start of our hook and measure back 50 mil again. And that should be our board. So the total length of our shooting board is going to be 53 centimeters exactly. Almost 21 inches. And yeah, that should work out well, I think. So we're going to cut our board now to that measurement, and we'll cut our track to the same measurement. Let's do that. Right, to start with, I'm just going to true up the end of this piece because we're not perfectly square at the end, so I'm just going to nip a small bit off it just to make that nice and square. And then we shall cut this to our desired length. Okay, there's our track and our board. Dimension, cut the size, so our plane will run down along our track like that, nice and easy. So now we just need to put it in our fence and our bench hook, and then we need to cut the slot for our 45-degree fence. And we're going to do all that on our miter saw there because that thing is deadly accurate. It will give us exactly square fences, and it will give us an exactly 45-degree channel for our other fence. So next things next, I need to mark out where my fences are going to start. So let's get our square. So this is our first fence here. That is in the 50 mil. I want to come in 50 from this end. That there. We can square that across. Okay. It's actually my bottom fence. I need to square this all the way around. This is actually going to be my hook. So where my hook is going to start, right there. And we're going to use the piece of maple that we have left over for our fences. So I'm just going to use this to mark that. And we want to make this nice and snug. We want to make sure that we're 100% square with this as well. Drawing that line there. There we go. And then we want to do this one. So again, I want to make it sit on the line. So I just barely see the line right there. Make this as snug as possible. It's important that this is dead square. There we go. Once I put it into my miter saw and make my cuts anyway, it will be square against the fence of the miter saw. But yeah, there we go. So that'll be our fence, and this will be our hook. And then we can do our 45-degree fence after we have those two ready to go. So we're going to drop down then, I suppose. Let's get a measurement on this. How thick is this piece now? I think it's 35 mil. There's my small ruler. Here it is. Yeah, it's exactly 35 mil now. So I think we will drop our fences down 15 mil into the board. Just going to put a mark there. Just draw a rough line just so I can set the blade on my miter saw. And we cut this channel. Okay, back to the miter saw. Right, there's the depth of our channel for our fences. You've seen me do this before if you've been watching my videos. This saw has a depth stop, so we'll just adjust it to make sure we're down to there. We're almost there, so slight twist to this. There we go, happy days, that should be deep enough. There's our depth stop set, and we can just chase our channel with that now. So let's get on that. Okay, there's our first channel in, and just a proof of concept. Everything works nicely. That's going to be nice and snug in there for our maple fence. So I can dimension this now. So one for my hook, one for my fence, and one for my 45. So we will repeat this process once more for this side for our bench hook, and we'll also cut a 45-degree slot in this for a 45-degree fence. So I'll go do that now, and then I'll get back to you. Perfect. Okay, that's not too tight, not too snug. It's tight enough to hold it perfectly steady, but it's also loose enough that I can pull it in and out. So yeah, I really need a shoulder plane. A shoulder plane would be ideal for doing this kind of work, but I'm building up my tool collection, so maybe that's next on the list. But yeah, okay, let's cut our fences to size now, and then we can glue our track to the side of this thing, and we're almost home. Okay, there we go. We have our 45-degree fence, and we have our 90-degree fence, and we have our channel cut for our bench hook. I haven't them hammered in place yet because I want to cut these down now. So I need to cut these down to a thickness of 45 millimeters. That'll give me 15 mil below my top and 35 above it. So that should be plenty big for my fence and for anything I'll be putting on this. So yeah, my channel for my bench hook is just a little bit wide. You can see that's loose, but thank God it's the bench hook and not the fence. So I was just a little bit quick and careless on the bench hook, but that's going to be glued in place anyway, so, and that's never going to be coming back out of there, so that's not really a big deal. It's these two that we needed to get right, and we got those right. So yeah, it'll be a case of take this to the table saw now, rip these down to the correct size, take them away, and then we glue up our track to our bench hook, and it'll be a case of sand, finish, and yeah, it's going to be a nice, it's going to be a nice shooting board, I think. So let's rock on and let's do that. Okay, we're ready for the glue up now, and as with all glue ups, I absolutely recommend that you do a dry run first. So just make sure all your clamps are set up, ready to go, that you know everything when you clamp it down is going to be in the right place. Everything's going to be square, straight, level, the whole shebang. So yeah, just do a dry run, clamp it, pre-clamp it, then put your glue on and clamp it. It'll save you a lot of hassle, because if it goes wrong when the glue goes on, it's a real pain in the ass. So yeah, let's just get some glue on this. Lovely, let's let that set, and we will be back when it's done. Okay, through the magic of editing, we are back and everything is glued up just about. So we have our track is glued onto our board, and I've just glued in our bottom hook there, so that's just setting. So I'm just going to leave that there for now. I want to fit my fence and my 45-degree fence now. And I don't want to glue these because they will be getting replaced as I'm using the board. So I just want a compression fit. So again, my 45 won't be in place when this fence is in place. So I'll have that in, and my workpiece then will be here, and I'll be using my shooting board, and I'll only be putting in this 45-degree fence according as I need it. So at the minute, we're just a little bit snug to fit this. And yeah, I don't want to hammer it in there because it's never going to come back out. So what we're going to do is take a bit of sandpaper on a flat surface, and we'll work it down slightly. Still a bit snug, so we're going to keep working this. Okay, that is our top fence fitted in there now. So now that's good and snug. I don't want this one as snug because I want this one again to be just easier to take in and out, and it's almost there as it is. This one is a lot closer than that one was, so we'll just work this one. Yeah. Okay, that will come in and out. Just tap it up. You can see our two fences are just up to our track. They are now perfectly in line with it. So that's happy days. We just let the glue go off on this one now. In the meantime, I repeated the same process. So we have the bench hook now with the maple and walnut hooks on it. That's just gluing up, ready to go. So we'll sand. After the glue goes off, we'll sand and we get a nice oil finish on these. So yeah, looking pretty good. Right guys, everything is all glued up and ready to go now. So we have our bench hook is here. This is our maple and walnut bench hook, so nice and simple. Our hook just goes against our bench. We can take our piece, put it against that, and we have something nice and solid and square to cut against. This is our hook for our shooting board. So that sits in here like that. And again, we take whatever we want to get a nice square edge on, put it there, and we can run our plane against it. Just like that. And then we also have our 45-degree fence. If we need to just nip anything at 45 degrees, we can do that too. So now I need to finish these things. I need to get some sanding done, do a small bit of planing on them, touch them up, fill in a few little holes here and there, and get an oil finish on that. And then we're almost home and dry. And I have a nice, lovely shooting board to use this extremely nice hand plane on. So let's get on that. Okay, there we go guys. We're sanded up to 220 grit, nothing too major. Again, these are just shooting boards and a bench hook, so it's not fine furniture. But we want to make something nice anyway, so that's what we're trying to do. So I'm just going to hit this now with some boiled linseed oil, just to protect it, just to give it a little bit of protection. I don't want to put too much oil on these things because, like I say, they're only it's a bench hook and it'll be in the workshop. It'll never leave the workshop. It won't be exposed to anything. So just get some oil into it now, just to let it soak in and just protect the wood a small bit. And it's always nice to see the oil go on, especially to the sapele, and see the grain pop out of it. So let's get that on. Nice thing about oils is just so easy to apply, especially linseed oil. It's just dollop it on and rub it in, and you can see that grain and that sapele coming out there. Really nice. Beautiful. It won't do the bench any harm. Right guys, there we go. One new bench hook and one new shooting board, complete with a 45-degree fence that we can remove. So yeah, we could have made this out of plywood, but it's nice to do a nice little bit of woodworking with some nice materials. Just when you have a nice fancy hand plane, you might as well make a nice fancy shooting board. Why not? It's fun and it's a nice project to do. So quick demonstration. This is our bench hook. So again, it's just maple and 2 walnut fences. One of them is a hook, it just goes against our bench. So then we can take our material, put it up to our fence, lock it in place. It's nice and stable, nice and sturdy. mark your cut, and you can get a nice straight cut. Just like that. So it just holds your workpiece in place nice and still, and allows you to get that nice straight cut. And even little sharp pieces like this, you can hold them against the end of your fence. It just keeps little pieces like that stable. It keeps your workpiece stable and allows you to concentrate on the cut and get it nice and square. And you get a nice clean cut. Onto our shooting board then. Again, it's just a case of we have our main board and we have our track, and our track just sits a little bit lower than our board, so we have something to run against. And then we have our two fences, a 90-degree fence and a 45-degree fence. So if you cut a piece at 45 and you need to just take a little bit off it, put it against your 45-degree fence, put your plane on your track and just run it up against it, and you can just work that down to whatever you need and to the exact angle of 45. Made it so this fits snug and is removable, so we can just pull it out, and then we can take our piece, get a square piece, there we go, put that against here, and you just want to work down your end just to get it perfectly square. We can do that too. Again, run on our track out to our plane, and we can start to work down the end of that. Just like that until we get it nice and square. So that's it, guys. That's basically a shooting board and our bench hook. Two nice little pieces to go with this new nice hand plane. It's a serious bit of kit. I might do a review on it later. I'm blown away by the quality of this thing. There's a reason why they are that expensive. I've never owned a fine hand tool like that in my whole life. So compared to my Stanley planes, it's completely different league. So that just inspired me to make some nice bench hook and a nice shooting board. So that's it, guys. I have to get out of here now because it's getting quite late and I'm going to be divorced if I spend any more time in here. So yeah, thanks. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.